most patients, when you see them, they and a lot of time you go through this. I think as a parent you can understand where it comes from. We all have busy lives, but you will find that initially you really, why is this doctor explaining to me about lifestyle changes and how like long I have to wait before my child is better? Because I need to get on with work. My child needs to get back to creche, right? Like my job, my employer has given me deadlines. I have to be at work. I've got to get stuff done. I have no support to take care of this child. The child needs to be better like tomorrow. So in the beginning, I think that, and sometimes maybe it continues, we do this thing of like wanting the doctor to fix us instantly. So switch, all those symptoms are there, can you please just switch it off? And there is this perception that antibiotics are the answer to that. Oftentimes it isn't. And so I think that people don't realize that by doing that, you are then creating a system that is saying that you will always need me. You need me constantly, because we're never freeing ourselves from that. To free yourself from that system means that you actually have to put in hard work in the beginning. In the formative years of your child's life is when you've got to put in the hard work.
What does that hard work look like then?
So it's funny because as I get older, I see like a 6-week-old for a 6-week checkup, and I'm saying to them, I know that this doesn't matter to you now, but getting to the root cause of why your child is constipated and you're needing suppositories constantly, or another example is why your child has got such a severe case of dermatitis or newborn eczema, or why your child has got such bad reflux, right? I will often say to them that you are not understanding this right now, and you're not seeing this right now because you really just want to sleep. But in the long run, this is going to affect your child's entire life, and it's going to affect you later on, in that it is going to, getting to the root cause of that reflux or that constipation is going to determine how many ear infections your child has, whether your child has bronchopneumonia repeatedly, whether your child becomes a recurrent wheezer, whether your child ends up snoring or mouth breathing, whether your child needs an adenoidectomy eventually, whether your child goes through a period of iron deficiency, which you may or may not pick up, and which might go missed or might get missed, and then it will determine whether your child is a picky eater. It'll determine whether your child has delayed speech. It will determine whether your child is a poor sleeper, and then later on, it will then determine whether your child concentrates in school, has mental health issues, gets medicated for mental health issues and for not concentrating. And in the long run, and this is something I'm so passionate about, it's going to determine whether your child reaches their full potential, achieves their dreams, becomes the person that they want to become, or they dream of becoming, they could become. And it's everything. It's who they marry. It's the kind of home they have. It's the contentment that they will eventually have in their life, and the peace that they will have, whether they have it or not. And it may sound so insane to parents. I mean, I don't do it often. Depends on how unfiltered I am. But it's true. It's true. It's one of the first questions I ask children who come to me for assessment for behavioral problems, ADHD or autism or ASD, is let's go back to the newborn period or the first year of your child's life. Tell me, did your child have colic? Did your child have reflux? Was your child medicated for it? Did anyone get to why your child had reflux or constipation? And so it's just really important.
Do you think that parents, especially new parents, realize the significance of the task that they're about to undertake?
They don't. Nobody does. And it is because we are going through a major transition in the world at the moment. And I think for those of us who are, I think they call us millennials.
Yes, I'm a millennial.
I'm born in 1981. I have no idea. What is the millennial period? Is it like 1980 to like 1990?
I think it's
Or
no. I think
something?
no. If you're born in the 90s, you're still a millennial.
So 1980 to 1996, I think it was, possibly. Maybe read something like that. So anyway, so I am a millennial, but I think that us millennials are seeing this transition and this change in the world. And there's been... so what we're seeing is that we've got a lot of electronics in homes. So there's a lot of devices. The food has changed completely, from the way it's farmed to what is added to the food. Our food doesn't contain nearly, not even close to the amount of nutritious value that it once contained. So I would say probably about 50%, 50 to 60. I know they've done some studies on this. I've been reading up on this a lot recently. I think kids have this greater supply, ease of, I suppose, access to foods that are no longer, by definition, food. They're not nourishing in any way. And so what you've got is kids are not being fed properly, not orally, not through their gut, but also not through their eyes, not through their ears. So we've seen this huge change in the world. I mean, we spent a lot of time outside when we were kids. If we did watch TV, it was sitting on a couch. So there are a lot of factors involved in this massive change in the way children are presenting with illnesses more frequently, there are more kids who have chronic illnesses like immune deficiencies and things like that. There are more children with allergies nowadays than there ever were. So we're not prepared for it because we're not expecting it. But I've seen it now in the last 10 to 15 years. I actually think that our pediatric training was not prepared for it.
Really?
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's insane how many kids are now told or how many parents are now told that their children are not concentrating and need to be medicated with the Schedule 6 drug. I mean, it's unheard of. And this is happening everywhere because you can't even say now that it's only a first world problem.
Yeah.
It's happening in lower socioeconomic groups as well. And those kids go to a very basic government clinic and probably just someone reads a letter from the school saying this child's not concentrating, and they're just put on something like methylphenidate. Most people know it as like Ritalin. So that's crazy that's what's happening. And yes, I don't think that parents are prepared for it because we kind of have, what is the reference point?
Because things are moving so quickly.
Because they have, in the last 10 years, things have sped up. I've seen it. Because I've been in private practice for about 13 years now at Hillcrest, just over actually. And I've, especially the last 6 years or so, it's definitely, I'd say after COVID for sure, things have changed a lot. But even just if you look at the last 13 years, it's insane.
How long did you study for to become a specialist pediatrician?
In total, after school. So After school, I did 12 years in total, but of that, it was 6 years of undergrad training, and then 1 year internship, 1 year community service, then another 4 years of postgrad training. And at that time, I was studying and working in the government sector at pediatric hospitals and pediatric units. And and then after that, I was done. I was done at the age of 29. But for me, I was lucky because I got to do everything quite rapidly.
Yes, yes.
I always knew what I wanted to do. So
over those 12 years, how much of an emphasis was placed on lifestyle-related factors like nutrition?
Very little. Very, very little. It's crazy, actually, how little was the focus is on nutrition. I think that maybe we touch on it when it comes to things like kwashiorkor and marasmus, because then you'll look at obviously what are the deficiencies in kwashiorkor and marasmus, but unless it's that extreme of kwashiorkor and marasmus, nobody is touching on nutrition. Nobody touches on how bad processed and ultra-processed food and sugars are for children. Nobody's touching on additives. Nobody's looking at, how additives affect the brain in kids, I'm so passionate about how bad additives are for us. It's, my son actually refers to it as poisons. He asks people if it has poison in it.
He's well versed, eh?
Yeah. But I think that we also need to teach people. Every single person needs to remember that the world's been around, depending on what you believe in. If you believe Adam and Eve, if the Abrahamic faiths, Adam and Eve, we're looking at about 6,000 years that the planet's been around. Or people have been around on this earth. And when did we start eating additives? Additives, I think they only became invented or were invented post-World War II. That's only post-World War II. Now, if you take a chart, if you draw, let's say, a graph, an x-axis and a y-axis, and then you just look over the years, we can go back all the way to minus 4,000. So 4,000 BC to now. And if you actually look in your mind, if you can just picture this graph, where all the diseases came up, it's right at the end, in the last maybe 200 years. And so I think it's just important for people to reflect on that additives only came about recently, and that why do we eat? We eat because we want to nourish our cells, right? Nutrition that's what it is, energy for our, mitochondria to produce energy. And it is how it is meant to be in its the natural pathway is that the sun provides energy to the soil, the plants, the animal eat the plants, and then we eat the animals or we eat the plants. And that divine source of energy from the sun enters our bodies, and that provides the fuel for our mitochondria. But what we have done is by creating things in labs, and then, this is our source of nutrition, is that we've broken that natural process. And this is why we're seeing so many strange and unusual diseases, or maybe they were around, but there's 100% a peak, an acceleration in cancers, autoimmune diseases, mental health issues. Tell me you don't see it in sort of what you do.
Yeah, all the time.
With training people.
All the time.
Right?
Yeah. All the time. But I can't help but feel, so we look at things now and we look back 100 years, for example, and you look at modern medicine, how it's evolved, and you look back at the unfortunate people 100 years ago who, if they, for example, if they got the flu, they just died, right? And then you had the evolution of modern medicine, and it's been marvelous how we've been able to evolve in that space.
100%.
But if we fast forward and I think, okay, well, what would the people 100 years from now think about how we practice medicine today? And I can't help but feel them looking back and thinking, wow, these guys really missed the trick in terms of how we approach things. Okay, here's an you sick, here's an antibiotic. We'll see you when I see you. And it's about treating the cause versus the symptoms, right? That's the whole thing.
Root cause.
And I've always had beef with this from a mental wellness perspective as well, because we know for numerous studies, one of the most beneficial things you can do for people with mental wellness issues is for them to exercise,
100%.
to move their bodies, right? And yet in my, how many years now? 13 years as a trainer and as a strength and conditioning specialist, have seen zero well-known partnerships between fitness professionals and psychologists, for example, and psychiatrists. So quick to dish out the opiates.
That is a brilliant point.
And the antidepressants and the benzodiazepines X, Y, and Z. And not many people collaborating, saying, actually, yes, you might be going through a bout of depression, but when was the last time you did exercise? No, 5 years ago. Okay, well, what are you eating? Lay's, Pringles. I have some Rice Krispies in the morning. I have 7 coffees with 2 teaspoons of sugar. How well do you sleep? No, not very well. Okay, when do you get out into nature? No, sit behind a desk the whole day and then I go watch Netflix at home. Oh, okay. Well, Here we go. Here's a benzo. Good luck. See me in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
And I really feel quite strongly about it, particularly with the addictive nature of some of these chronic medications, that I just don't understand.
And it starts when they're kids.
Yes.
It's starting even earlier. Some of these kids I have seen that come to me for the first time from, like, they maybe have seen my social media profile. So these parents come to see me, and some of these kids are 8 or 9, and they're on like 4, 5 different meds, chronic medications. So aside for stuff for ADHD, there's stuff for anxiety or depression, there's stuff to help them sleep at night. Does that sound normal? Now that's where they're starting. So what's going to happen to them later on? I cannot, I'm also so passionate about this. So I 100% agree with you. And I don't know why it is that way.
Do you find yourself then doing the reverse, trying to get people off medications as opposed to prescribing them?
I do. It's funny because of my social media presence, I see a lot of people come to me to see if there is, if I can maybe help get to the root cause. And I strongly believe that in any normal, natural situation, most children are presenting with ADHD as a secondary factor, secondary to something off balance, either within their bodies or within their home, so outside their bodies. So there's something that's just off balance. And the focus needs to be to find out where homeostasis is off. And we need to then look at the child, looking at things like vitamins and vitamin levels. Does this child sleep well? Are we getting good REM and non-REM sleep, slow wave sleep? Are we sleeping for long enough? Is the quality good? Is the quantity good? We need to look at how much screen time this child has. We need to look at what they're putting into their bodies. So there's so many things. How much exercise the child gets, how much time outside. Are they barefoot outside for, long enough periods? So these are all important factors. And so I do have to kind of go back to basics. And the reason is because most kids get put on medication without doing any tests. So nobody does any tests.
That blows
you get
my
a
mind.
letter to say, either from a psychologist or the teacher. Most of the time it's just the teacher. And it says, I think this child might have this. And then they read the letter, ask the parent a couple of questions, so fill out like a checklist. And then most of the time, these kids just then get put on those meds without even one blood test being done. Not even an iron level.
So, I mean, that's negligent, surely.
I think so.
Yes.
I think so. But it's allowed. There are no laws in place to say you can't do it. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So whatever the actual underlying problem is, we're never going to know, because all we do is Band-Aid people throughout their lives. We Band-Aid them when they're kids, we Band-Aid them in their adolescent years, and then we Band-Aid them as adults. Because what do you think we do for someone who's hypertensive? Do we tell them to maybe go and work with a trainer and lose some weight? Or do we just put them on an antihypertensive med?
It's easier to just give them the med and say, carry
Exactly.
on.
The answer is that most people just get put on meds. So whose fault is it? Is it the patient's fault or the doctor's fault? I'm going to say it's everyone's fault, because, to be quite honest, I think a lot of doctors I know have given up on trying to counsel, educate people, because nobody wants to put in the work.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah. But I've got a guy he's been on chronic medication for a long time. He says his friends joke with him because he's used 8 of his 9 lives.
Yeah.
And he said he's an overdraft when it comes to his life and his time here. But he's been on chronic medication for a long time.
Yeah.
And we've been training for about a year and a half,
Yeah.
twice a week, elderly guy. And he came to me the other day and he said, Clint, come here. So we were training. He said, come, I want to speak to you in the corner of the gym. And I said, yeah, what's up? He said, I went to my doctor the other day and he told me I no longer have to take this one chronic medication.
Yay.
And he's like, it's the first time I think he was prescribed it in like 2019, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
And I was like, man, that is amazing. That is so good. Like, just by getting your act together, by working out, doing some exercise, probably then making some healthier lifestyle changes outside of the gym, all of a sudden you don't have to take this medication that you were taking every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy smokes, that's amazing.
Exactly. So, but the issue is, here's the issue, and I'm sure you agree with me on this. People find it hard to find the time.
Yes. But there's the short-sightedness of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have the time now, so therefore you will do things that will not keep you here for longer. That makes no sense.
It makes no sense at all, but I feel like we are living in a period where everyone is chronically burnt out as well. So you guys have got one child, right, who's 2, and so he hasn't started, has he started school?
He
Is he in a
started
play school?
he started nursery school this year.
Okay.
So he had 2 years at home.
Yes. Okay, so it's the early stages, right? So then you've got, as they get older, they start getting homework. When you have more than one child, you've got 2 kids. So you've got kids who are getting so much homework. My nephew came to see me on the weekend, and my mom-in-law was saying, because she was doing his homework with him, and she was like, I have no idea how these parents are coping with their kids nowadays. I do his homework from 4:30 until 7:30. That's how much homework he gets in grade 4. That's how much homework.
Yeah.
That's insane, right?
Yeah.
So where do you find the time as a parent if you've got to sit and do homework with your kid, you know?
And I sympathize with
Wow.
that. I do. But at the same time, so I always look at it as your responsibility to your child is for you to be around for as long as possible.
Agreed.
And to be as healthy as possible so that you don't pass on any unnecessary trauma.
I agree.
So therefore, it's like the oxygen mask on the plane, right?
Yeah.
You put it on yourself first so that you can then help others around
Yeah.
you. So I think that it is, if you want to be the best parent, husband, wife, mother, father, whatever, you have a responsibility to them and to yourself to make sure that you can put your best foot forward. And part of that is to do something for yourself that is going to help you be a bit healthier. Part of it's having a hobby so that you can do something just because you think it's fun, that is healthy. And
I don't have any hobbies, by the way. It's really bad.
you need to get one.
Right? Like, does pediatrics count as a hobby?
No, it doesn't.
Darn it. Playing with my cat.
Yeah, I suppose that applies.
This is a hobby.
The problem with cats is
Online
sometimes
shopping.
the problem is cats are so temperamental, they might not want to play with you all the time. And then, so maybe take up stand-up paddling. It's going to be good weather from that going into the autumn.
I can't be doing anything that means leaving my house. I need to, I can do gardening. I did.
Gardening's nice.
We did harvest some cucumbers recently. So maybe gardening. I think I could do that. But I do write.
Oh, writing's lovely.
I do write. I read and I write a lot. So
I'm getting stuck into my gardening as well.
Yeah,
and
gardening's
I find
amazing.
it's quite therapeutic, eh?
And it's good for your health?
Yes.
So good for your health?
Rooted in the ground, feet in the soil, hands in the soil. Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly teaching my patients about, so definitely with everything I've experienced in the last 13 years in working with children, I have realized that we over-medicate 100% what you said. And, part of it is, medication and healing is going outside, walking barefoot. I say to parents, if you walked outside in the morning barefoot for 10 minutes even, it improves your overall concentration in the day, and it improves your mood. So you'd be a happier person just by walking outside barefoot. I think the Japanese call it forest bathing.
Oh, I was going to Shinrin-yoku.
Yes.
That's what it's called. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
I read a book on that.
Yeah, so grounding, forest bathing. Studies have been done on this because, before all the medical people jump on there and go, well, what's the evidence-based, the evidence base for that? And actually there are studies on it and they've showed improved cardiac function, improved blood pressures. So aside for the mental health, benefits. So that is big. So going outside and gardening is amazing.
Yeah. Off the back of that, I actually did a whole separate podcast on Shinrin-yoku, on forest bathing alone. Because I read a book on it and it just blew my mind. There was a doctor in Japan, I can't remember his name now, but he used to see his patients walking through the forest. How cool is that?
Wow.
So they would chat and he would...
I love that.
And that is just like practicing what you preach right
Completely.
there. It's amazing. And they've done other studies where people in hospitals, if you have a window bed, if you can see outside, they actually recover faster than the ones that just are staring at a wall.
Of course.
And then you're not even outside.
Sunlight and light. I've been doing now red light therapy for 3 months, and obviously it would be better if I was outside for 20 minutes as the sun was coming up. But I've got this red light bar thing that I do for about 20 minutes. It has improved. My skin has been amazing. Even when I went to the beautician, she herself was like, what are you doing? Because your skin is looking amazing. And I promise you, it's red light therapy. And so light therapy, what people don't realize, is so good for us. It is so good for us to even our sleeping. It's so good for sleeping. So you're right. In many, many decades ago, a part of in hospital care was actually leaving patients in the sun.
Really?
So it wasn't really in the hospital, inside, yeah.
Yes.
Your bed would be outside in the sun. So it is a form of healing. Vitamin D is so important. Sunshine is so important. Being barefoot is so important. Drinking lots of water, also so important.
Just the basics, hey?
Just the basics. Eating whole foods, so important. What is the other things that are just so good for our mental health, like berries, green leafy vegetables, getting more fatty fish into our diet?
Yeah, well, the link between the gut and serotonin production
Completely. Serotonin is
massive.
produced in our gut.
Exactly.
But we can't produce serotonin if we have low iron levels. And serotonin is needed for melatonin. So we need iron for all of it. So that's why we need to test people, because we'd never know. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Iron is so important even for like energy levels. Like imagine someone someone says, no, you got to work out. And they can't understand where they just don't have the energy levels to do it. But I had my energy drink, which is like the worst thing ever.
The pre-workout.
Oh my God. I don't even know what that is.
I don't have
it sounds
people-
disgusting and it sounds like poison to me. So
I don't have folks that take pre-workouts. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they never have the energy and they never understand. But then they don't have their iron levels checked.
I've had 5 people in the last 3 months with major low iron levels.
See?
Infusions, etc. The one, so 3 of them, 4 of them were clients of mine. Another was a client's son. But I mean, through the floor low.
Yep.
And couldn't work out why they weren't able to do this weight that they could normally do like a piece of cake. And it's amazing. And I thought to myself, good gracious, like this has never happened before.
Yeah.
Completely different people, body shapes, sizes, ages. And I was like, wow, this is really, it's interesting. Because, okay, why there's a pattern now that's emerged over the last 3 months.
And why are so many people iron deficient?
I don't know.
Because think about it, right? Just think about this for a moment. We recycle iron beautifully in our bodies. Beautifully. So when our red blood cells are broken down in the spleen, that iron is then sent off to the liver, and then the liver then sends it off to wherever in the body we need it, like the bone marrow, the brain, whatever it is. At no point in that cycle are you seeing that like iron is leaving. You would need to be cut regularly, or you lose a lot of iron in a major accident, or you are a female and you're a menstrual female, and you're having your period, heavy periods maybe. But if you're premenstrual, female is premenstrual, or you're a man, you shouldn't really be iron deficient. The amount of iron we take in through our diet is actually for wear and tear of our epithelial cells. So when someone says to me, oh, but I don't, maybe he doesn't have enough red meat, that's not a good enough reason. So it always needs to be investigated. Saying someone's iron deficient is like saying you have a cough. It's only a symptom of an underlying problem. So don't you think it's weird that so many grown people, these were men, you say?
Yes, they were all men, actually.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
So again, gets down to why are people iron deficient? Is it inflammation in the gut? Are we not absorbing? Are we losing? It's so interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I want to come back to what we spoke about when we were chatting about schools.
Yes.
I was thinking last week, Grayson's 2. I suspect I'm going to have an issue with how he gets schooled when he heads into primary school.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what to do about that. It's on the horizon, and I'm like, I'm not sure that how we're doing the school thing for kids that age is the best thing for them. And because I'm a new parent and first-time parent, I'm still formulating my thoughts, but I've got a gut feeling that tells me that it's not ideal. I've got a gut feeling that kids shouldn't be seated behind a desk at that age for so long. I've got a gut feeling that they shouldn't have so much homework, that they should be learning through play and being outside and being physically active. But I haven't got there yet, but I think that that's the conclusion I'm going to arrive at when we get there.
Yeah, so I think that it's a very important point. Our schooling system is definitely being created for females, not for males.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
that's, I think if you look at the schooling system, I read a very interesting book on this. It was about raising boys. And it touched on how the schooling system is for females. Girls can sit behind a desk and pay, not run around and, want to run outside and jump through hoops and be upside down and beating up the kid next to you. That is... schooling is not for boys. And so I think that I think you are going to be surprised.
Really?
By it, yeah. I don't think that boys that's their natural environment, but I think that also the choice of school, you can find schools where there's a lot more outdoors time, but then you get the schools where it's very much strict, and your kid gets shoved into a box.
Yes.
So you're going to have to choose wisely. Otherwise, you're going to have to homeschool.
You've got a son, huh?
I've got a son as well. He's a busy boy as well. And I think that if anybody wanted... I've always been monitoring things in him. Obviously, iron and vitamin D and trying to keep him on the right foods and all of that. But... I'm going to be brutally honest with you. If someone had to say to me that I had to medicate my child, I would, or else they were going to fail him, that's not legal, by the way, because I know a lot of schools do that. They kind of threaten the parents or shame them. So just FYI, that's actually not legal.
Okay.
But most people don't know that. So if someone had to say to me, you have to put your kid on a certain medication, stimulant medication, or we're going to fail him, I would be like, that's cool. He can become a shepherd, shepherding sheep on a mountaintop. And that's how much how vehemently I do not feel that children should be on a Schedule 6 drug.
Sure.
I mean, I'm always surprised at how many doctors will give parents a hard time about, you mustn't just give your child the antibiotics. That's bad for them, which, I mean, it is. You must not give your child so much cortisone, aspirone all the time. It's so bad for you. Yeah, okay, true it is. But you know what's really bad for them? Giving them a Schedule 6 drug that was first used by Hitler and the Nazi army to make them more aggressive and to concentrate better. So that is my personal opinion, and I have seen far too many kids. I've seen what the side effects are of it. It's mind-boggling that kids are not assessed physically and biologically properly before being put on medication. But also, I also don't, for me, success in life is not determined by your status. Success in life is not determined by whether you're a more successful cog in the wheel. Success is not determined by how much money you make. For me, success for my child especially will be determined by whether he is going to fulfill his purpose in life, whether he is content and happy and at peace. That is success, more for me.
Yeah, that's such an important yardstick. And I think we walk through life quite aimlessly sometimes.
Yes.
Where it's just on to the next thing, chasing something that we haven't even questioned whether or not it's worth chasing. It is something that societally has been put up on a pedestal.
Good point.
And social media has accelerated those things,
Yes.
and the advent of the internet and that sort of thing. But I wonder how many people stop to question, do I actually want this thing that I'm working towards so hard and sacrificing my health, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my kids?
Yes, completely. Like literally, there are like steps in life that everyone follows. And it's like this weird formula that someone came up with. And everyone says that you have to do all these things. And then you kind of get shoved out for our children. You kind of get like vomited out of the schooling system in matric. But you also get told, this is what you're going to do with your life. These are the options. And then how much, what do kids go and look at? Most of the doctors that become doctors generally speaking, they were probably like, oh, okay, well, I'm a straight A student, and let's see what's going to make me lots of money. Is anyone going, what do I love? What am I passionate about? What is my purpose? And this is a huge problem, because I think everyone is just half-hearted in whatever profession they're doing. Because why did they do it? Do you get what I'm trying to say? There's like this, follow all these steps. I honestly think that the best thing you can do for your child, if they don't know what they want to do with their life, is to actually just say, okay, well, why don't you just go work somewhere for a year? And try and figure out what you want to do. Actually, that's way better.
And go work somewhere that's not here.
Not here, go somewhere,
go
experience the world.
Go learn from bartending in the middle of Italy, or like in like Peru or somewhere.
Completely.
Like, go to the bush and
100%
figure out from there what you might like and what you might not like. Because how much are we actually exposed to at 18?
Completely.
We've gone to a primary school in the same area. You go to a high school in a similar area, and then you come out and you're like, okay, cool. Now what?
Exactly.
How are you supposed to know?
I was one of the lucky ones. I consider myself like really blessed. I say this over and over again, because I was 9 years old and something hit me one day and I thought, I am going to become a pediatrician at the age of 9. I have no idea. It was obviously divinely inspired, and it never changed, right?
That's cool.
But I know I was very lucky. But for other people, and my husband says I am obsessed with my job, because I say I'm passionate about what I do, and he goes, no, you're not passionate, you are obsessed. I'm not obsessed. I think I am passionate about healing.
Yes.
I truly feel so much passion for just the concept of healing, and I am happy to, if someone wants to say you can no longer be a doctor, I will say that's absolutely fine, because I will continue healing. I will heal without whatever it is that they want me to do, that allows me to sign scripts or whatever it is. I'll still carry on healing in whatever way that I can. But most kids nowadays have no idea. It's like I've said, they kind of just get on this like spinning wheel, and then they get vomited out in matric. But imagine if we lived in a world where you got to do apprenticeships.
Yes.
Imagine if you got to, from a young age, spend time. You enjoy something, right? Like you go and spend time with like a carpenter. Can we bring that back? Can I get an apprentice? I will take an apprentice, and then at the end of it, we can dub them a pediatrician. I'll knight them or something, But I feel like you'd have someone who actually like loved what they do. They'd be more passionate about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think everyone forgets this. I think teachers are forgetting this, the purpose of life. I think everyone just forgot what the purpose of life was.
Do you know what's interesting is coming back to the speed of things and how they change. For example, we're doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
I've got the training, but I would also consider myself a podcaster.
Yeah.
When I was in matric, 2007, there was no such thing as a podcast. So how do you know, okay, I want to do this thing if it doesn't exist yet?
Exactly.
So all the more reason to accumulate experiences and to chat to different people and to look at different walks of life. So you have enough of a toolkit to then, when something does strike you as, I want to do the thing and this looks like fun, you can do it.
Exactly.
So, and it will be the same now. People coming out of school now and kids that you see in the hospital now, in 20 years' time, when they're making career choices, there's going to be jobs that that don't exist right now. And I just find that whole concept so fascinating, because 50 years ago, you knew that in 20 years' time, those same jobs were still going to be there. And there weren't really going to be any new jobs. You were going to be a manager, you were going to be a postman, you were going to be a business person.
Yeah,
Whereas now it's changing completely.
And think about AI and how it's going to completely change everything for this generation of kids, like our kids.
Do you think that we're going to need doctors with AI?
I have no idea. I can't say. I can't answer that question because
50 years from now?
AI has surprised me.
I think it's surprised everybody.
I think that AI is probably going to surprise us a lot more. So the answer is that from what I've seen is that I think it is likely that one day it will.
Yeah.
I think that it will replace a lot of people.
I think so
and a
too.
lot of jobs.
You mentioned in a previous episode, your child has been your greatest teacher.
My greatest teacher.
As a pediatrician, why did you say that?
Because after I had him, I realized becoming a mother is humbling in many ways. Number one, all the things that you said you'd never do, you definitely do. You do them. You know, you were once this young punk who saw people in a restaurant and said, "I will never allow my child to." Next thing you know, you are that person allowing your child to. So it's humbling. And he ended up having a lot of issues that he then taught me through him having those issues. There were a lot of things that maybe as doctors we don't believe parents on as well, like if they saw something relating to food or like a side effect of some medication, and anything that could go like be weird, my son had it. He also had, and my breastfeeding journey was really difficult. So I wasn't getting enough breast milk, and then I had to top up with formula. And, you know, I was also one of those people who's like, I'm never going to give formula. You know, there were all these nevers. Never gonna. But I then realized that, so for me, motherhood was a lot about realizing that there's no absolutes. And you really just kind of have to wing it sometimes. And then at the same time, he taught me about how small changes in lifestyle can actually just improve his health so dramatically. So it was things like, you know, he had reflux and having to remove dairy from my diet really helped him, and he slept through the night pretty much by 6 weeks as a consequence. And there were other things like I remember parents saying that when they gave their kid Montelukast, they would have nightmares. And, you know, it was not something we were ever taught. But then my child was having that when he took Montelukast. So it was just seeing things from the mother's perspective. And then as well, just gut. My intuition grew. It's like it expanded after I became a mother. And in that way, my ability to sense things in kids, in children, especially when moms were saying that there was something, looking at me going, Dr. Khan, I'm just worried. There's something else going on with my child. And it was like I suddenly was more receptive to that. I wasn't just dismissive of mothers. I wasn't going, oh no, but this child is fine, or babies just cry. So yeah, I think that it humbles you. It made me look at other people on the same level, which is a great blessing, beautiful blessing, to be able to look at another mother and to want to hear what she is saying to me. It's almost like I'm actually listening. I'm listening properly. Yeah. I was maybe hearing before, but now I'm listening. And and it's saved lives, because I had a mom who once came to me. I remember she was in casualty. I was about to go home. And she looked at me and I said, what are you doing here? And she said, Josh is in casualty, he's having headaches. And she looked at me after saying that. And she said, I'm worried, Dr. Khan, I'm worried it's something serious. That's all. And in that moment, the casualty doctor walked past me. She'll know when she hears the story, the casualty doctor as well. And she said, oh, I've just seen him. I'm going to send him home with some painkillers. And I said, no, please admit him. I didn't even touch him. You can't even say it was me. It wasn't me. I'm not some amazing doctor. It was her. It was the mom. It was actually the mom. And I said, no, I must do an MRI on him. And so I ended up admitting him and eventually did an MRI on him, even though everyone was like, why are you doing an MRI on this kid? Like, he's otherwise fine. And he had a golf ball-sized tumor in his brain, which we managed to resect because it was so early.
Wow.
No, I'm not joking. Like, that's from becoming a mom. That's from becoming, it completely changes your life. And I'm sure your wife will explain that to you. There are things that you just don't understand why you're asking for it, but it's because your gut, your mom tuition, as I call it,
yes,
is telling you. So yeah, becoming a mom was the greatest blessing and my greatest teacher for so many reasons. I could probably go on and give you another 50, but we've got to round off now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pity that we have to round off because I could do
we
another
could
hour and a
do,
half,
like,
2 hours.
definitely.
So maybe we'll have to do a part 2 some other time.
Definitely.
But where can people find you, Dr. Khan, if they want to get in touch, if they want to come and visit and bring their kids to see you, or if they want to have access to all the wonderful info that you're putting out there online?
So that's great. It might be a bit difficult to make an appointment. It's so busy, but the information is for free, and it's on Instagram. I think it's dr.nadia.khan.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'll
they
put
can
that in
just
the
have
show
a look.
notes
And there's
as well.
a lot of free information and advice there, and parents can go on and have a look at it. And obviously, they can message me, and if I have time, I'll reply. It's just hard to find the time.
Yeah. Well, it's been wonderful to have you on the show. It's been great to get to know the Nadia behind the Dr. Khan.
Yeah.
And I think that makes you just
you.
so much more relatable. And if you're relatable, it means that people trust you more. And so they should, because it sounds like you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank
So
you
well
so
done, and thank you
much.
for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Clint. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Hey everyone. A huge amount of work and effort goes into producing this podcast, whether it's from the research going into the episode, whether it's finding the guests coming to the location, or them being online, to producing the content, edited and putting it in a format that is conducive to your ears and your eyes. And it goes a really, really long way if you can just do me one thing in return for this free content: share it. Share it far and wide, and if you find an episode useful, send it to someone who might feel the same way. That's all. Thanks a million. See you next week.